Happy Wednesday, everyone. My name is Yiling Zhuang. I'm the Water Resources Regional Specialized Agent in University of Florida IFAS Extension. So welcome to Water Wednesday. From the beginning, you can tell we are using a new platform. So if this is the first time you tune into our Water Wednesday, so now you notice the difference because now we are live streaming on both Facebook and the YouTube. And this new platform will be more interactive. So you can just put any comments into the chat box. So I don't intend to have a very formal webinar. Just want to keep it like casual and like just to discuss with you all, share some information with you all about Florida's water. And this week, the topic is what does an oxygen shortage mean to water? So before I get it started, just wondering if you are watching it live, just put in the chat box, let us know if you heard of, you're aware of the oxygen shortage in last summer. So if you hear it, you can put in the chat box and just let us know a little bit about what you think about this issue. And for this presentation, this is a new platform. I'm very excited. I'm also trying to figure out how to use it. All right, so like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm the Water Resources Regional Specialized Agent. I will be the speaker for today's Water Wednesdays talk. So like I mentioned in the beginning, if you heard of the oxygen shortage, just put in the chat box, let us know. And also, I'm very curious also to know where you are watching this video, because this Water Wednesday talk will focus only on Florida. So now let's get it started. About last summer, around August, you probably already saw this news about oxygen shortage. What is quite surprising to know later is there's a water crisis from the oxygen shortage. So quite surprising it's why oxygen? So it's like, why oxygen shortage has something to do with water? So here the story actually, it's not oxygen. It's more like ozone because we need oxygen to produce ozone. So then the next question is, what does ozone do to water? Ozone is an oxidizer. So it is a perfect element used in water treatment. And the primary focus for ozone in water treatment is disinfection. So just traditionally, we use chlorine in disinfection. Chlorine is still very commonly used for groundwater disinfection. So in other words, if this water treatment plant, the main water source is groundwater, it's still very common use chlorine, but with some surface water sources, then ozone will be a better or more ideal disinfection method. Because for ozone, it can also remove odor, remove color, and also remove taste. It can also reduce the demand for chlorine. However, ozone is a very unstable. So it's not like we can generate ozone in advance. Then we store it there whenever we need it. We use ozone to disinfect water because ozone is very unstable. We need to generate ozone as the point of application for the use in water treatment. That's also with oxygen shortage. It's not like back then we can just prepare enough ozone, then we can reduce the demand in the future. Just unfortunately, ozone's chemistry just doesn't allow that. And to make ozone, it's just to combine the oxygen atom with oxygen molecule. So this reaction requires a considerable input of energy. So that's just like before pandemic. with hospital patients and public water supply, they seem to be two separate elements. We didn't see the interaction between these two, but with the pandemic, with the oxygen shortage, it just connect them together. That was sort of like unanticipated or unintended consequence of the ozone shortage and its impact to public water supply. So what does it mean to Florida's water? So the first thing it's the primary uh, just make us to think. It's really to think about the water resilience. So for the water resilience, there are two parts. So first, let's have a look at the trends in water use in Florida. Just have a good understanding how water like is used. What's the water demand? So here, this diagram is from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, their 2020 uh, annual status report on regional water supply. So what it might be hard for you to read here. Like the small font at the bottom, blue means it's public water supply. So that's the water supply to residential household and also some public facilities. The green part here is agricultural water use. Gray is industrial, commercial, and institutional water use. And then followed by yellow, light blue, and red. So yellow is recreational use, light blue is domestic self-water supply, so that's private wells. And the red part is power generation and its demand of water withdrawal. So this shows from 2015 to the projection to 2040. So from this diagram, you can see the public water supply is increasing between 2015 and to 2040. And you can also see a black line here. That's the population projection. So basically, public water supply will increase with the population growth. And from this projection, it's between 2020 and 2040. Population in Florida is expected to grow by 23%. It's about 4.8 million people. And so it will increase the current population to 26.4 million. So if you know current Florida's population, you can put it in the chat box. So that's the pop-up quiz. See if you know what's current population. So with the population increase, the water demand will grow by 15%. So we can see there's already a stress here with the increased population and the increased water demand. Then how's Florida's water future? Do we have enough water? That's the same report, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, their 2022 annual status report. So it divides the whole state of Florida into different regions. It shows the blue shows the current and the future use of existing sources. And orange means water needing to be developed. So the bigger the pie charts are, the more water demand is needed. So basically from this map, you can see almost all the regions are requiring additional water. So in other words, just current water sources cannot meet future water demand. And if we zoom in to Central Florida, so the greater Orlando area, so which is the Central Florida Water Initiative, so we can see a better number here. The yellow dash line shows it's the available groundwater, which is 760 million gallon per day. But current groundwater demand for 2040 is 855 million gram per day. So you see the gap here. We need more water to we need more water to meet the current demand without causing adverse impact on the ecosystem. So how can we achieve the additional water demand? So it's through water conservation and also through some alternative water supply projects. So now let's just move on, just have a look. What are the different sources of water supplies at this point? And these are alternative sources. In other words, if it's not traditionally used in this region, then it's considered as alternative water sources. Currently, groundwater is still the main traditional water supply source for public water supply. And from this graph, you can see, I'm not sure if you can read the font at the bottom. They are quite small and quite light. So the first column is reclaimed water. And it's followed by the third one, it's the brackish groundwater. So with the alternative water supply sources, they can expand our water supplies. However, this alternative water supply implementation is very expensive. Well, the estimation per project, it's about 3.54 million. So it's not just and in addition to the economic barrier, there are also social and technical barriers. So still the example of reclaimed water. So reclaimed water, it's a wastewater, a household wastewater. After it's treated and received advanced water treatment and further disinfection, it can be sent back to the pipe for irrigation purpose, residential irrigation. So which we commonly see is the purple pipes. Um, it is treated, but however, the public perception of reclaimed water is still mixed. There are still people I usually get these questions from class participants. They always wonder, like reclaimed water, why are we using that? Some of them even call it it's a poo-poo water. So why I'm using poo-poo water to water my lawns? So there's still that misconceptions of water reuse. Other than the social barriers, there are also technical barriers. So just for reclaimed water, it's further treated, then it's suitable for irrigation use. Then is it suitable for direct portable use? So it go back to drinking water. There are already several projects. It's a direct water reuse. Some in California and in Florida, it's an indirect water reuse, which is the same concept. It just direct, it means after wastewater treatment plant, it directly go to water treatment plant to get some further treatment and deliver to the household. If it's indirect water reuse, then it's that water go back to the nature, like to the water bodies. It can be a temporal storage or reservoir for a certain time, and then that water is withdrawn by water treatment plants, further treated and delivered to household. So here it's again it's the challenge of both economic, social, and technical. We know it's expensive, and we know there might be some hesitance for public acceptance, and also its technical part. So how about those trace elements? How about pharmaceuticals? And also PFAS, these emerging contaminants in water. Is the water safe to drink? So it poses additional questions or additional challenges for alternative water supply implementation. And on the other hand, water conservation, it's more economical, like it's much cheaper. So it's more cost effective. So now let's have a look at water conservation. Where can we conserve water? So more than half of the residential water supply in Florida is used for landscape irrigation. So about like over 900 million gallons per day. And for high water users, so it's these homes fall into the top 5% of all the water users in the terms of daily water consumption. We consider them as high water users. Then that residential like landscape irrigation can be as much as 70%. So this is a great opportunity where we can conserve water. That's also right after the oxygen shortage put a crisis on water supply. We see calls for water conservation from different utilities. I even saw one news, it's from Universal. They are also reducing water shortage, water use due to the oxygen shortage. And later, one news caught my eye. It's here, it's OCU, Orlando Utility Commissions. They see a slight drop in water usage over the weekend. So that's a now let's just dive into this example. Just have a close look, like how the water use change after the water conservation announcement. So if you are not familiar with OUC, it's the Orlando Utilities Commission. So right after the oxygen shortage, they made a direct request for their customers to limit long irrigation and other non-essential use of drinking water during the crisis. And based on the water utilities estimation, the water demand need to reduce by about 25%. So which is the gray line here. So as I fall into under 20, like between 25 and 50, it will be very ideal. And the orange line here is when the announcement was made. We can see the water drop right after the announcement. So it has the trend of declining. However, the reduction has not met 25%. It's about 20%. We see water conservation can be effective. We reduce we limited the long irrigation and reduce the non-essential water use. However, it's just not enough to face the water crisis. Now, just before we look what might be more effective for practices, we first look at just what are all the practices available here. So this it's a very busy slide. I got all these practices from Southwest Water Management District. I like the layout here. They really break it down into different rooms where we use our water a lot. So what I want to show here is if we just look at the bathroom part, it's not, these practices are not very like major or surprising practices in my perspective. So it's really like small actions you and I can all take. Flush less, and of course here it means if you can have if you have a not water efficient toilet, you can upgrade that, or you can do some modification, make it a little bit more water efficient. And also when you brush your teeth, you turn off the water, take a shorter shower. So what I like a lot is recently I heard it's the trick how to make a shorter shower so you can find your 5-minute song. So it can be your 5-minute shower challenge. Find your favorite song and see if you can finish your shower within 5 minutes. And something else is also turn off water when lather up, use less water for bathing. Instead of full bathtub, do it 1/3, 1/3 of water, or you just do half tub of water. Similarly, in the kitchen, operate the dishwasher when you have a full load, and when you go to the laundry, it's the same way. If you can set the water level, that will be great. If not, you cannot select the low size, operate the washer when full loads only. So most of these practices of small actions you and I can take. Some actions may require to upgrade your fixtures, upgrade your appliances, and other actions require a little bit handiwork just to fix the leaks, fix the leaky pipes, fix the leaky toilet. And if we move to outdoor, like I mentioned, at, about half of our water use in the household goes to outdoor water irrigation. So these UFIFS recommended practices to reduce long irrigation from, if we look at the bottom part, it just reduce irrigation frequency. Some homeowners from our yard evaluation, we find out they water 7 days a week. And some it's even water twice a day, 7 days a week, which it depends on the region, depends on the turf grass, but that's not usually it's not needed that much of water, and we are seeing more and more those turf grass issues are caused by over irrigation. So simple steps, just reduce irrigation frequency can help, can save water. And also some other requires physical improvement. So physical technologies, such as soil moisture sensors, and also install the ring sensor, or making sure fix the ring sensor, because sometimes most time ring sensor, I don't have the data on top of my head, but most ring sensors are not working properly. So what you can do is just to check if your ring, to make sure your ring sensor is working properly, because the function of ring sensor is when it rings, it just shut off the irrigation system, which is quite intuitive because it's already raining. So no need to keep your irrigation system on. And to inspect if your ring sensor is working properly or not, what you can do is just hold on the ring sensor for a good 5 minutes. Oh, you turn on your irrigation system first and hold down the ring sensor for about 5 minutes and see if your ring sensor uh, activate uh, activate the irrigation system just to uh, shut off the irrigation system. All right, so from these two slides, I list all the practices. Then another question here is how public are engaging in water conservation? That was a survey conducted in 2009. Over 500 surveys were collected. So from this survey, you can see the top one here is uh, 90% of residents indicate they will only run the washing machine when it's full. So from this, the survey reveals small behavior changes inside the home as Florida residents are more willing to do. If we interrupt their, or it requires a little bit major behavior change, they are a little bit hesitated. And when it comes to outdoor water conservation, they are most willing to adopt actually is the low water consuming plants for outdoor water conservation. So that's a great opportunity. It's if you have Florida friendly landscape, because the first principle of Florida friendly landscape, it's the right plant at the right place. So if you put the right plant at the right place, you already have a good start, and it can help you to save water and also maintain a sustainable landscape. Um, I was very surprised to see it because I thought to reduce the irrigation frequency, it should be low-hanging fruit. It's much easier to achieve, especially in Florida winter now. We don't need to water. Again, depends on region, but usually in Central Florida, we are suggesting skip a week. So you can water every 14 days. And another good strategy is because when we have automatic irrigation system, we tend to water it routinely. We just set the irrigation system there and leave it there. The best way actually is just to turn it off and irrigate when it's needed. And your layer grass tells you when you need to water it. I will put in the chat box later with additional information how to let your landscape tell you when to water. So from this, it really make me, I will hope it can make us all rethink the strategies to a water resilient future. So it starts from more effective water conservation. So how can we more effectively engage public in water conservation? So it's through public education and also how we deliver the message. How can we let them know we all need to take actions to face this the future water crisis, regardless of water shortage or not, regardless of oxygen shortage or not. And some other ways that we can increase, improve water conservation is advanced water efficient technologies, more user-friendly soil moisture sensors, more user-friendly smart controllers, which can make decisions by the weather, by the soil moisture, and to decide when to water or not. And also alternative landscape practices. Instead, some like ground cover, and also what's the best practices to to maintain a sustainable landscape. And some other actions can be regulatory actions, because some municipalities, they have irrigation ordinance, and they also have fertilizer ordinance. They require how many days you can water, what time you can water. So this from the volunteer, from education to mandatory actions, so we can achieve more effective water conservation. Also, from the other side is the long-term regional water supply planning. Uh, Instead of seeing water as in like a separate system, we really need to do is consider human and the nature system. So with climate change, with other factors, how can we design a more resilient water supply as a human nature system? And also we need more research on the underlying mechanism driving social responses to drinking water vulnerabilities. Just for example, this oxygen crisis, how public responds to that, what messages are more effective. We don't have enough research on this underlying mechanism driving social responses to water conservation. So with more research and more education on both water conservation and the water supply side, we can build a more resilient water future. And with that, I'm ready to take any questions and comments you may have. So here you can see I have my email address here. I also put we have a water page, which I will just put in the chat box so you can all access that. And I will also to put this link here is linked to the survey. So the survey is very short. So if you are watching our live streaming or you watch the recording, we really appreciate you can take a few, it will be no more than 2 minutes to finish the survey and tell us what you have learned. So I see one question here is what I mentioned earlier about reclaimed water. So if you can use reclaimed water for vegetables and herb gardens. So the rule of thumb here is how you apply the water. So if you apply the water just to to the roots, we call it indirect application. Then you may consume your vegetables and herbs without a further process. If you irrigate, like you get water touch the leaves of your vegetables and your herbs, then you have to fully process your food before eating it. In other words, salad, or you eat it raw, it's not safe. You want to cook it thoroughly or thermally treated, thermally processed your vegetables and herbs if reclaimed water touch the leaves. All right. So if you have any question, put it there. And I also want to make a little bit announcement here is next Water Wednesday, it will be a little, there will be a gap. It will be March 9th. We will talk, this one is focused on water conservation on the water quantity part. And the next Water Wednesday will focus on the water quality part. And it's also commonly asked, how can I more effectively use fertilizers? Like when do I need to fertilize? How much fertilizers I need? So the next talk will be effective fertilization for protecting water resources. And also, I want to mention this one is we are so excited to announce the first Water Wednesday workshop. It will be in person and it will be held at the Lake County Discovery Garden. Lake County has a very pretty garden. And for this workshop, we'll have 8 stations and we'll cover the topics all about Florida friendly. So you can see we have build your own rain barrel, different irrigation systems, backyard water for wildlife, protect the waterfront, design a rain garden, mulch, composting, and interactive activities about ground related to groundwater protection. So this one will be in person and will be outside in the garden with different stations. All the attendees will rotate among these 8 stations. So I will put a link to the registration. So it's in the chat box. So it will be very fun event, and I think March 30th, the weather will be very nice. So we hope to see you all there. All right, let me see if I have any more questions here. I see one more question here. It's asked me my thoughts on phosphate mining. This is a really good question. My understanding, we had phosphate mining, but it's we are no longer having that much phosphorus mining, and that's also the discussion we usually have is Florida's water, groundwater. It's usually it's high in phosphorus. That also go back to like fertilizers. We usually suggest when you buy fertilizers, the phosphorus, the middle one, the P, you want to make sure it's 0 because Florida soil is already very rich on phosphorus. But this one, it's I'm not that familiar with phosphor mining Florida. I will do some homework, do some research, and I will put in the comment section, and I will get back to you. That's a really good question. Sorry, I cannot answer it on top of my head. All right. Oh, and I see this comment here. So 22,843 acres are being mined in Hardy County. So that's great info. So I will do some research and get back to you about this question. That's a really good one. It's I'm not knowledgeable enough to answer this question. All right. Um, I don't see more questions here. And thank you again for watching today's Water Wednesday. If you like our Water Wednesday series, please take the survey and please also like our Facebook page and follow us on YouTube, where you can find all the recordings of the past Water Wednesday talk, which I also want to put this one here. I almost forgot. I mentioned the indoor water conservation, but I didn't go very details into that. Last Water Wednesday, we covered all the indoor water conservation practices, especially showing how you can fix the leaks and how you can also making sure how much water your toilet is using and how to locate your emergency water shut-off valves. So these are you can find all the webinar recordings on our YouTube page. And that phosphor mining question, I will do some research and get some feedback on the experts at the university and get back to you. Because it's in South Florida, I'm not quite familiar, so I will ask my coworker in that region. So I really appreciate this question. That's a really good one. Wish I had a better answer to that. So with that, I hope you all enjoy today's Water Wednesday and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday afternoon. Hope to see you at our next Water Wednesday webinar. Bye.